What's up, funnel closers? Hey, back at you with another interview. I try to do my best to bring people that have either had their businesses affected by sales funnels or that they've sold sales funnels as a business and done big things. And I would imagine our guest today's probably done both, but he's had a long run of success now for years that I've been watching him using funnels to move e-commerce stuff. So like physical goods, I know that he's had warehouses full of goods and stuff that they've sold. And more importantly, now some of the things that he's doing in the e-commerce site with funnels should kind of open your eyes up to what's available. Because in the past, you might have focused on gyms, coaches, consultants, things like that. But there's a lot of people that have that have e-commerce businesses where like people are fulfilling stuff and putting it on Amazon. But there's a whole nother set. Like here's what I learned with the books real quick before I get into our interview here, is with our books, which is an e-commerce thing, right? We're selling books. That's a form of e-commerce over the internet that we're getting rid of. When we sell it on Amazon, which is a great site to sell stuff on, when we sell it on Amazon, if they deliver it and fulfill it direct, then we don't get their email address, name, address, and all that stuff so that we can hit them up with other offers. But if we go through building our own funnel, like elevatortothetop.com, then we get everybody's name, email address, phone number, and all that stuff first before we have Amazon fulfill it, which allows us to collect and market the data as well. So e-commerce funnels are obviously a huge thing, and that's why I have invited our guest today, who is Robert Nava. What's up, man? Welcome aboard.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Everything is awesome, dude. Well, first, thank you very much for hanging out with us and sharing your expertise and stuff. If you don't mind, just take maybe two or 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your background, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, like your listeners or viewers will know that you have that criminal background. Well, I have a very similar background where I spent about 13 years of my life. I just got a phone call.
We're still here. We can still hear you. It's all good.
So sorry about that. Between the ages of 11 and 27, I spent about 13 years of my life incarcerated for various crimes. I was around a lot of gang members, around a lot of drugs, around a lot of crime growing up. My dad was in prison, my brother was in prison, so it was inevitable that I would end up there myself, and so I did. At 19, I went to prison for a 9-year prison sentence. I was released after serving about 8 years of that sentence at age 27. And previously, I had never been out longer than 3 months. And so now I am 37 years old. I've been out 10 years now. So I've been out for a long time. I've shown that I've completely changed my life, not only in the time that I've been out, but what's happened during that time. And so in the last 10 years, I went back to school in the very beginning. Well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. As soon as I got out of prison, I did what a lot of other people do when they get out of prison. And I just took a general labor job, any job that I could get. And I didn't do bad. I got a job that paid $12 an hour, which was above minimum wage at the time. I don't know what minimum wage is now, but it was above minimum wage at the time. And so it was pretty good for just getting out of prison. But I hated that job. I hated the labor. I hated going to work every day, working for somebody else while somebody else made money and was happy. And I was hurting and miserable every day. And so I dropped out of, or excuse me, I quit that job and I went to college. And I decided to pursue a childhood dream of becoming an electronics engineer. As a child, I used to tear my toys apart and build new toys, and I always was creative. And so I wanted to be an electronics engineer, although at the time I didn't know that's what it was. And a friend in prison told me I should chase that dream, and so that's what I did when I decided to quit my labor jobs. Is I went back to school to chase my electronics engineering dreams. And a few years into that, after taking some basic classes, I realized that was going to be a struggle. I failed so many basic classes because I was locked up all my life, so I didn't have the best education. And so to even take my basic math classes, which I had to take a lot of math classes to take to get a electronics engineering degree. And so even to take the basic math classes, I struggled. I failed, and discovered that I could learn things online. And I got so much information, and I learned so much from YouTube and from other online training courses that I actually fell in love with training courses. I began subscribing to so many different training courses, buying training courses, learning as much as I possibly could, which then brought me into the final leg of my life these last few years, where I got into selling online. I discovered that I could sell online without having products. I discovered sales funnels. I discovered marketing and Facebook ads and all of this fun and rich stuff that we all get to do. I discovered this a few years ago, and over the last 3 years, I've been able to generate across three businesses, I've been able to generate over $10 million in revenue. And it's been great. I've had a great life. It started off rough, but the last few years have been awesome. And it's been amazing, Ryan. I was just telling you a little while ago that I am moving to a different state. I'm moving to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I get to teach for a growing digital marketing college, for the number one digital marketing college in the world, and growing. I get to teach e-commerce there, and my life is awesome. It's quite the contrast from where it was 15 years ago, but it's amazing.
I
So
have
yeah, that's
I've had the pleasure of watching you, throughout some of this journey, not all of it, obviously, but throughout the last few years, and we've kept in touch, man. And you're definitely very inspiring. And to think, that you figured out this stuff to be able to sell it enough to move $10 million worth of product. You're teaching. I mean, that's the path to mastery. Is you learn something, which you just told us the path, right? You learned it. You went to all these different seminars and training programs you mentioned, and then you did it, and you moved $10 million worth of product, and then now you're writing the courses to teach it. See, now that is complete mastery, my brother. I fucking love that, first of all. But you're doing the natural progression, right? You're saying, hey, these things have changed my life, and the ability to go from gangbanger, dumbass, in and out of jail, no longer than 3 months free, to getting my life together, getting focused, raising a family, becoming a father, hiring people. You want to be able to share that transformation, and the fact that you got good at it. I know you're the Shopify king, and you've done all the Shopify funnels, which for those of you that are listening to this, we don't teach Shopify, but we will have people come in the future to teach it. We do ClickFunnels and lead pages. Shopify is another software for e-commerce funnels and things like that, man. But just to see how it's changed the game from you, should be really inspiring for a lot of people in this program as well.
Yeah, definitely. Funnels have been essential to my business, to having a sustainable business. Anybody could sell things online, but to have a profitable, sustainable business, funnels have been essential. It's how I direct my customers along the path that I want them to take to buy the products that I know that they will buy. And because we're in a day and age where we have so much data with our digital transactions. We have so much data that we could actually predict what our customers want, and that's where funnels are very helpful, because we get to direct them right to those products.
Yeah. So what kind of products have you sold? Like, name some of the products that you've sold over the years?
Well, in e-commerce, I've sold so many different things. My biggest store is in the outdoor sporting goods niche. So we have a backpack brand, outdoor sporting backpack that we've sold millions of dollars of. We sold tens of thousands of them. We sold flashlights, a lot in the outdoor niche. But I've also sold informational products on how to sell online as well. So I've got a broad scope. And in the internet, or excuse me, in the e-commerce space, I've worked with tens of, I've sold a training course that reached 10,000 people. We had 10,000 buyers. And so I've got a big scope of experience with a lot of different products and working with a lot of different people, that, the product doesn't matter. It's really how you sell that product. And I think that that's where the funnels are so valuable.
Yeah. And so I think you are you one of those people, this is how I am. I feel like you're the same way. It's like, you feel like you could sell anything, right? It's like, now that you
Yes.
know how to make funnels, it's like somebody could come at you and be like, dude, the next big wave is going to be cat shit. And you'd be like, dude, we are going to sell the fuck out of some
Yeah.
cat shit, right? Like,
A funny story about that, Ryan. The reason why I got into marketing for myself, so I skipped a big part of my life, but um, I used to do marketing. As I got good with marketing, I started doing marketing for other companies and other brands, and I did marketing for a for what's called the Hanukkah tree topper. It was on Shark Tank. They were on Shark Tank. I ran ads for them while they were live on Shark Tank. And it was basically a Jewish tree topper for a Christmas tree. And if you know anything about religion, that's a contradiction. A Jewish tree topper for a Christmas tree, which is a Christian religion, Christian holiday. It didn't make sense, and yet we've sold a lot of those. It was very successful. The ROI was like, I don't know, 6,000% or something. It was huge. And so yeah, I like to brag about that I sold Christmas tree toppers to Jews, because I do believe that anything can be sold. With the right marketing strategy, with the right angle.
That's so much better than, ice to Eskimos or whatever, right? Like, I sell
Yeah.
Christmas ornaments to Jewish people. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's some real sales ability right there, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good story.
And so, if somebody is like you mentioned that you have this whole e-commerce thing that you're writing up, is there a way for you to tell people how they can find that, or maybe follow you online, to where they can get connected as well?
Yeah, if people just are interested in following me and following my journey, I'm moving. I'm going to be focusing on e-commerce for a while now, probably for another year or so, as I move into more life development and business development. So you could follow me, Robert V Nava. Just find me on Facebook and follow me there. That's where I'm most active. It's easiest to get all the information about me. And then if you're just interested in learning e-commerce, I would suggest, actually, instead of where you can follow me as well, but look for Techademics. Just Google search Techademics, Tecademics, Techademics, and they are the digital marketing college that I get to write their. I get to teach and write their e-commerce curriculum, at least a lot of it, and that's where I would suggest you find your e-commerce information.
Perfect, man. Well, one last thing I want to ask you, and then I'll let you get back to your busy days and everything else. If you were an e-commerce person, and let's say that you had warehouses full of shit and you didn't know Shopify or ClickFunnels or any of this stuff, right? And someone approached you with this business model and say, hey, we've got this thing called a sales funnel and help you move your product and everything else. What would be like the best thing a salesperson could approach you as the business owner, like before you found all this out? Like, say you got a warehouse full of shit and you're like the average, wholesaler / retailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the number one reason why I push funnels for myself and try to get e-commerce store owners to use them is because it's the number one way to beat your competitor. If you and your competitor are just selling the same product up front, and your profit margins are the same and your advertising costs and all your costs are the same, you guys are at that same level. But as soon as you add upsells and other products in the back end through a funnel, then you can outspend and outbeat your competitor 100% of the time. And that is the biggest reason why I think funnels are important for my business and for any e-commerce store owner.
Now, do you build your own funnels, or do you outsource them?
We do a little bit of both. I usually, I'm really tech savvy, so I build my own funnels usually in the beginning because I'm usually testing all of the products. I like to kind of be the pioneer, the trailblazer for my company, kind of always testing. But then we have always somebody else that comes behind and makes them better because, things can always be optimized and made better.
Yeah, okay, cool. And so that makes sense. That's about how I do it as well. What's the most you ever paid for a funnel?
The most I ever paid for a funnel was about $5,000, I believe it was. I know that people can pay more. That was without the copy. That was just with basic copy and the funnel built out and the products added into it. This is before I was really into doing funnels myself.
That's fine.
But I mean, with the right person, I would pay up to $25,000 depending on the product and how it's put together.
Yeah, which that's part of what I was going to ask. The last question here is, if you were to make a funnel, like say I own a business selling flashlights and I want you to make a funnel for me, what would you charge somebody these days? Like if somebody, to make it worth your time, what do you think you would charge?
For a funnel for a flashlight, that's very comparable to the $5,000 funnel that we built. It was for a product very similar. I believe it was a flashlight or a lantern or something like that.
Gotcha.
Versus a funnel for like selling homes. I mean, you could pay tens of thousands of dollars for that if it's a successful funnel. So it really comes down to the product and also like the copy and other things that are involved.
Gotcha. That's good info. Paid $5,000, would pay up to 25 grand, made 10 million in sales, living the dream, working. You're following the path to mastery. Learn it, do it. Teach it. I love it, man. I appreciate you spending some time here, Robert, and hanging out with me and our folks and letting us share in your story. And if you need anything, brother, you hit me up anytime. All right.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I always have a good time.
Thanks.